On June 23, 2016, the UK made a historic decision to leave the EU, a decision that would ripple through the political landscape and affect countless lives. This decision sparked a chain reaction across politics and daily life, creating uncertainty and debate that would last for years. For Ireland, the implications were profound. It was about a border that had become invisible over the years and a peace that felt suddenly threatened by the unknown. The UK leaving the EU's single market posed a difficult question: how to avoid a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. This was not just a logistical challenge, but a deeply political one. This border had been open for decades, a cornerstone of the Good Friday Agreement, which had brought peace to a region once fraught with conflict. Brexit threatened to reintroduce checkpoints, a symbolic threat to peace that had been hard won. The spectre of the past loomed large, with memories of division and conflict resurfacing. The challenge was enormous: how to leave the EU without re-erecting a physical border. This was a question that required careful negotiation and innovative solutions. Known as the Irish backstop, this question dominated Brexit negotiations. It was a complex issue that required balancing the needs of different communities and political realities. For those living along the border, it was a daily worry about jobs, families, and community stability. The uncertainty of the future weighed heavily on their minds. The political decision in London had real consequences for people living miles away. It was a reminder of how interconnected our world is, and how decisions made in one place can have far-reaching effects. The story of Brexit's impact on Ireland-UK travel is about how politics collided with people's lives. It was a story of uncertainty, adaptation, and resilience. It was not just a logistical issue, but a deeply emotional one. Families and communities faced the prospect of being divided, and the emotional toll was significant. The prospect of new barriers felt like a step backward for communities that had worked hard to build bridges and foster peace. Protests and demonstrations highlighted the deep-seated fears and concerns of the people. The challenge was to find a solution that respected both peace and political realities. It was a delicate balancing act, requiring diplomacy, understanding, and a commitment to preserving the hard-won peace. For generations, the border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland was more an idea than a reality. It was a line drawn on maps, but in daily life it was almost invisible. Fields, roads, and rivers flowed across it without interruption. Families, friends, and businesses lived and worked on both sides, often without giving the border much thought. The Good Friday Agreement of 1998 changed everything. It allowed people to feel Irish, British, or both, and the open border became a powerful symbol of peace and cooperation. Suddenly, the border was not a barrier, but a gateway, one that welcomed everyone, regardless of identity. This invisible line wove communities together, allowing seamless movement and a shared economy. People could cross for work, school, or shopping, and local markets thrived with the blend of cultures and accents. The border region became a place where differences were celebrated, not feared. It was not just practical, it was psychological, fostering a sense of normality and hope. The absence of checkpoints and barriers meant that people could build relationships and trust, healing wounds from decades of conflict. Everyday life felt lighter, and the future seemed brighter. For young people, a physical barrier was a relic of history. They grew up with freedom of movement, forming friendships and teams that spanned both sides. The border was just a line on a map, not a wall in their minds. But then, Brexit threatened to disrupt this delicate fabric, reviving a symbol of division that many thought was gone forever. Headlines warned of new checkpoints, and old fears began to resurface. The threat of a hard border was about more than traffic jams. It was about disrupting personal and economic connections. Families worried about being separated, businesses feared losing customers, and communities braced for uncertainty. The invisible line was at risk of becoming a painful wall once again, casting a shadow over the peace that had been so carefully built. For those it touched, this was not a political game but an existential threat. The border was personal, woven into daily routines, family ties, and livelihoods. The fear of losing what had been gained was real and deeply felt. The open border had become a bridge, not a barrier. It connected people, ideas, and dreams, showing what was possible when walls came down. Brexit felt like tearing apart this delicate fabric, threatening to undo years of progress and understanding. The sense of unity was fragile, and many feared it could unravel. The challenge was to maintain the peace and connections that had flourished. Communities gathered, determined to protect what they had built together, hoping that the invisible line would remain a symbol of unity, not division. The idea of a hard border after Brexit stirred fears in communities that had lived through the Troubles. The return of border infrastructure was a terrifying echo of a painful past. People remembered fortified checkpoints and the climate of fear they created. The thought of physical structures returning caused anxiety among residents. Communities feared new checkpoints would reignite old tensions. The fear was that a physical border could unravel the delicate social peace. Small business owners faced the prospect of crippling bureaucracy. Families worried about being cut off from loved ones. The fear was about losing family, community, and the freedom to belong. In the wake of Brexit, the landscape of travel between Ireland and the UK changed overnight. What was once a seamless journey became a source of confusion and anxiety for many. The uncertainty was palpable, especially for those who had grown accustomed to crossing the border without a second thought. Take Aoife, a university student from Dublin. Her daily bus ride to Belfast, which used to be routine and uneventful, suddenly felt fraught with uncertainty. She worried about new rules, possible checks, and whether she'd be delayed getting to her classes or back home to her family. Mark, a self-employed contractor, faced new challenges too. Every trip across the border meant extra paperwork and the fear that his tools might be held up at customs. The simple act of earning a living now came with added stress and unpredictability. For Seamus and Mary, an elderly couple living near the border, the changes were even more worrying. They feared that in an emergency, delays at the crossing could have serious consequences for their health and safety. These personal stories reveal the true human impact of Brexit. It wasn't just about politics or trade agreements. It was about real people whose lives were suddenly filled with new obstacles and worries. For many, Brexit was not just a distant political event, but a deeply personal experience that touched their daily routines and sense of security. The changes introduced friction and uncertainty into lives that had long been defined by the freedom to move, work, and visit loved ones without barriers. Now, every journey between Ireland and the UK served as a stark reminder of division, an invisible line that had become all too real. The emotional weight of these changes was felt in every crossing, in every anxious glance, and in every pause at the once invisible border. The familiar ease of travel was replaced by a sense of uncertainty and apprehension, as people wondered what new challenges might await them. The looming threat of further changes cast a shadow over daily routines, making even the simplest journeys feel unpredictable. The impact rippled through communities, affecting livelihoods, peace of mind, and the sense of unity that once defined the border region. For everyone living and working along the border, the challenge became learning how to navigate this new reality, one where every trip, every plan, and every day was shaped by uncertainty. Post-Brexit challenges carried a significant human cost. Stress and uncertainty affected mental well-being in the border region. People felt like pawns in a larger political game. Identity politics resurfaced, forcing people to choose sides. Economic hardship added to the stress on families and communities. The human cost was a loss of ease and freedom. The erosion of certainty was a profound consequence. Decisions about borders and trade are about people and their sense of belonging. After years of negotiations, a breakthrough came with the Windsor Framework. This agreement aimed to address concerns and ease the movement of goods. It created a green lane system, reducing paperwork and checks. The agreement reaffirmed the common travel area, allowing free travel. This progress was a shift towards cooperation and stability. The Irish government played a key role in brokering a solution. The new agreements marked a critical turning point. They showed that common ground could be found through diplomacy. For those caught in the Brexit storm, these arrangements offered hope. The focus was on making travel and trade easier and more predictable. With a solution for the Northern Ireland border, UK-Ireland relations began to heal. Leaders focused on turning a page and opening a new chapter of collaboration. A major summit showcased the restored partnership. The focus was on practical areas for cooperation, like economic growth and security. The renewed friendship acknowledged deep bonds between the people. The summit celebrated cultural and personal connections. The commitment to working together ensured practical issues could be resolved. The renewed spirit of cooperation helped rebuild trust. The journey since Brexit has been about building bridges. Ireland and the UK are working to strengthen connections at every level. The focus is on creating opportunities for collaboration. New investments and joint projects are fostering economic growth. Security cooperation is increasing to protect citizens. The reaffirmation of the common travel area ensures family connections. The renewed friendship provides a positive backdrop for exchanges. By building bridges, the relationship will flourish. The focus is on cooperation and understanding. The future of Ireland-UK travel is one of renewed hope. The path since 2016 has been challenging but resilient. The journey has led to a better place, with dialogue replacing division. Borders are more than lines, they run through lives and communities. Political decisions have real human consequences. The agreements provide a stable foundation for seamless movement. The focus is on nurturing the unique relationship. The story of Brexit is one of hope and deep-rooted friendship. As we move forward, we appreciate our shared history and future. Your support helps highlight the connections that matter. Join us in celebrating this new beginning.